Hello, everyone, and welcome. Welcome to our first bonus video. And I'm so excited here. And this is the bonus video of the Energized Empowered Professional Women Summit: How to Leave Behind Exhaustion, Burnout, and Frustration to confidently take back control of your life with renewed energy and vitality. And so these are the conversations we're going to bring up. We have beautiful speakers, and today we have Vanita from Ayubowan Health, and she I met her while I was researching burnout, and she had such an amazing array of work that she does, and let her explain that to you. And I would love to introduce you to Vanita, who will be talking today with us about what is burnout, how it affects our health, and what are the things to look out for. All this stuff that it preludes our way into the summit on burnout. So, hi, Vanita, how are you?
Yeah, hi Vanessa. Thank you for having me.
I'm really excited about um, just these conversations that we're having, and these are conversations and the stories that the women will be bringing during this summit are amazing. So let's start with your story, Anita. How what got you into this whole arena of burnout, and your beautiful story.
Yeah, thank you, Vanessa. And look, that's one thing I think with burnout is that everyone has a story, and part of it is the opportunity to listen to people's story. Because my story is probably similar to many of the people listening on the summit. I originally was sort of a background in science and research, but spent most of my career in corporate life, all in various roles: strategy, innovation, quality, across the board, in those roles. And with it, had extensive travel, had young family, and all sort of balancing and struggling, balancing that all. And hit a point where and I absolutely loved my role. What I did in the family, there was, it ticked all the boxes. There was so many things I loved about it, but I never stopped. I was always on the go, and it was always in that buzz and adrenaline. And I had moments where I had body signals, that, things, probably weren't right in my body, but, just like the foot soldier, I kept pushing on, pushing on, pushing on. Particularly at the time, I was in a role where there was a lot happening, and particularly some crisis issues. So, I kept plodding on, and it was literally a phone call from my GP saying, "You need to get to hospital immediately. Your bloods are off the charts. Are you not well?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm feeling sort of, thing, but I'm okay." And going to the hospital, and with that, I was had to go into sort of the hospital for a few days, and then had to be put on medications that, in a flip of a moment, my trajectory changed so much that I was going to be on medications that potentially were going to cause complications. It really, I suppose, it was kind of like I had one of those moments where I sat and went, "This wasn't in the sales book. I don't remember this happening. How did I get here so quickly?" And it was a turning point that I needed to stop and look after my health, and with it, I suppose, coming to the realization that, and so that I was burnt out, that as much as what I was doing and enjoying, and particularly in my roles, I felt that I was no longer making a difference. And the classic signs that we talk about burnout is that it's often purpose-driven people. But when we no longer feel like we're making a difference, our process, our systems, or our values are at odds to that, that's when burnout can occur. And I didn't realize it at the time, but that's when I had reached that point.
Wow. Yeah. I can completely resonate with that, because again, me as well, like I was a scientist and I really enjoyed my job. But then when I think they call it this sort of compassion fatigue or some fatigue in
Mm.
job. And when you go in there and you just go, well, this I just can't do this anymore. This heaviness, this, and you get so frustrated and you just go into this loop. I can
Mm.
completely understand that. Wow, that's pretty intense. Um, and so yeah, carrying on with your story, how when you realize, wow, I was burnt out, and these are one of the signs. What how did you go forward with that? Like, so most people are like, oh, what do I do? And they just and they just fall in a heap, which is fair enough. So yeah, it would be interesting
Yeah.
to know with that.
Yeah, the first one, and I say to people, I think the difference between exhaustion and burnout is that exhaustion, you can kind of, yeah, do the rest and then you can get back, you re-energize and you can keep going.
Yeah,
And very much for me, it was the foundations that I knew could help me. So, particularly around what I was eating, my movement, exercise, even things like mindfulness was trying to give those things a go. But, one of the things I did do was I struggled with those types of things because constantly being on the go to slow down was difficult for me. But the biggest thing I think helped, and is where I help with clients, I just say stay curious. When you're finding and working around these solutions and listening and particularly learning what the body's telling you. I was getting body signals, but I really didn't probably understand that at the time. I
yeah,
kind of was just doing things because, the research said it, but not really, was it good for me or wasn't good for me? So it was just step by step, I guess, yeah, with tools and solutions, exploring what was helping, what was supporting me. And I also sort of stepped back and I actually said to myself, well, what's the bigger picture here? What is really important to me? And I suppose I really questioned those things, not just the expectation of what I should be doing, the career and family and things, what really resonated for me and that my journey moving forward, what could that mean? And that could look very different to what I had been up until that point. So there was the combination of the bigger picture for me, what I was wanting, and then how these tools and solutions helped me in that journey.
right. So you stepped back and just went, what are my priorities in my life right now that
Mm,
affect me personally, and and I guess using that as a springboard, as something in your heart to come back to and go, I need to move forward with this. I need to do something about it. If not, these important things in my life will will just be will be affected by it.
yeah, and opening up to, these are the things that I really love. This is what I really enjoy, and what can I do that allows me to still do that, and what was the pros and cons of that.
Yeah,
So it wasn't that I became fixated on a set picture.
yeah.
It was kind of like, what were the bits of the recipe that, I really enjoyed that I could bring together to create my own picture.
Okay. Oh yeah, wonderful. Knowing what you really want. And I think, like for me, most of us haven't actually asked ourselves, what is the bigger picture for us? What do I really want in life? What
Yeah, and
how do I want to move in life? We move and we do things. Like I found that I was doing things for others, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But it was always about others, and I never asked myself, what do I really want? I never really connected with my body because I was so afraid that what it would tell me. And also, yeah, I'm like, uh, and all that all contributed to me not really realizing when the body said stop. So
yeah.
and so how are you now in and where are you uh you know how are you in life now, and what are some of the sort of the I guess the signs that oh, I'm going heading down that path.
Yeah.
And also going, okay, I need to step back, and so yeah, what are some of those things for you?
Yeah, it was. And look, and I can hear and resonate with what you're saying is some of those answers take time to sort of unfold. It doesn't kind of, a couple of talks and sessions and, flashing it out. It does take a time, and that for me it certainly evolved as things start to come into place. And yeah, very much for me, the picture now of what I do is different. So being able to, for me, I went on a journey of looking for the tools and solutions to help me in the research to back up what I was doing, and from that I went, okay, well, how then can I help people, and what would that look like? So that's what I do now, is just helping people in that burnout, either in the prevention or that they're feeling burnt out. How do they, move forward
Yep.
in that space? So, and yeah, for me, it's helping people in different ways. I help support clients one-on-one. I help support health professionals with their patients, particularly around if they've got health issues or burnout, and for them that may be experiencing burnout. And I work with organisations as well that might be trying to look at the bigger picture of what potentially is contributing to burnout with their teams. So because it is very much a holistic picture as a business, it's not just different wellness tactics. There's certainly things that we do in our everyday, and part of what I do is help people uncover those unconscious behaviours and habits
Yep.
that might be contributing. So they're helping people to tap into that to help move forward is some of the things I do now.
That's great. And so that's helping other people using the tools you've realized that has helped you as well.
Yeah, absolutely, and yeah, people that supported me as well. And there's definitely I've got to pay homage and respect to those that have helped me along the journey as well. So very
Yeah,
much, and that connection is been a big part of the moving forward.
great. Yeah, that is absolutely, the people and the support around us together, that support not only for ourselves, um, to realize it, but also then to communicate to everybody around us, look, we need your support right now, and to go out and look for that support as well. I know it's really hard being exhausted, but to
Yeah.
realize that even in it, that is what we need. So that's why we're having the summit to understand, for you, for everybody here to understand that you're not alone, you're not the only person, and that's really important, because then there's a whole net of people who understand where you are and are here to support all of us and have that conversation together. And that in itself helps to really help the nervous system to calm down a bit, because we know we don't have to fight this ourselves. So
Yeah, absolutely.
um,
Yeah, and look, I think too the sorry to interrupt.
yeah, that's okay.
One of the biggest and to me was the hardest thing of all with it, as someone whose identity was very much wrapped up in helping others, um, to be actually able and vulnerable and feeling safe enough, like you're saying, very much about the nervous system, to feel safe enough to people to say, I'm not okay and
Yeah,
I need support, was one, with every, feeling in my body was just so hard to say, but finding that safe space and that opportunity to say that with someone was, at the time, just an enormous relief. So firstly, identifying where I was at and to have that support around is, a huge step.
okay, yeah, thank you. That's fantastic. And just so to sort of to wrap up quickly, in not really wrap up quickly, but also to start people into the summit,
Mm.
into that mindset. What are you've worked with so many clients now and so many people, and in your big in your big picture, what are the things that or what are the signs of burnout, and how it's can affect our health, that you've seen in your clients, that people could be aware of, so that we know that, oh, it's not, when we have something like that, we're like, oh, it's not, I'm just, and the doctor can't really diagnose it, and they just go, oh, we're just silly, we're just, we just need some rest. What are some of the symptoms of burnout that you've seen, that, so that people will understand about this?
Yeah, and look, and that's probably a great point you raised, Vanessa, is that a doctor's not going to diagnose burnout, because burnout is not only the physical or mental symptoms that may be manifesting for you, is that there is the bigger picture that's involved. It's systems, the processes, it's the culture, everything. The whole ecosystem is what is contributing to burnout. So what might you personally might be experiencing if you're feeling the burnout is you might be feeling the exhaustion. It's the feeling like I'm not making a difference with what I'm doing. It could be the ability that you can't switch off. Even though there's things to do, that ability to slow down and rest and re-energize yourself, because burnout is that sense of that inner light going out. So you've that ability to slow down and refuel is difficult. It could be, manifesting that you're, always on adrenaline and excitement. And one of the things I struggled to identify was the fact that I didn't perceive it as stress. I didn't see it as a negative what I was doing, but certainly in hindsight, I was always on the go. Whether it was work, family, travel, there was very little downtime. That even when I was probably home, the cognition was always going, with solving issues or strategizing. So that could be a sign if you're finding that difficult to switch off. Or you're getting the feedback from the doctor. There's health indicators physically and mentally that you're having. It could be contributing as well to this feeling of burnout. It's kind of one's reflecting off the other. So, but I know too, Vanessa, you certainly had different, and I think too is that there's no one thing. It can manifest in different ways. So, and for yourself, Vanessa, I know we've spoken about you. If you also had slightly different experiences as well with with your body and that.
Yeah, absolutely. So my symptoms of burnout was, again, exhaustion and just not wanting to go to work, as at work that I loved, and just felt that, so that's exhaustion, and of course the mind not turning off. But what was really interesting was, because I lived in that state for so long, and it's also, I'm type A personality. It's come from all my culture and how I grew up, because I lost my mom when I was 13. So there's all these trauma and everything, just kind of led me to behave in a certain way. It's not a bad way, it's just the way I behave. I could not rest because I just went, no, this is I need to prove something to the world. So this is kind of my thing. But what led that to do that is, then at 45, I started to get it, my joints weren't working properly. My gut wasn't working properly. And no one could tell me what was going on. I ate healthy, everything was kind of going along. So why was that? I started getting early menopause, and I know a few people have adrenal fatigue. Why? Because we're putting ourselves in constant stress, and all the different chemicals were going through my body, of cortisol and all that I didn't have that. I didn't balance anything out. I didn't rest properly. And so your body gets exhausted. It literally exhausts. It just is exhausted. And things start breaking. That's essentially what it is. And the doctors go, we've done all the tests. We don't know.
Yeah, definitely. And I say it's a bit like the brain up there is kind of like the C-suite. It's kind of directing all the traffic, but down below, the body's trying to keep up with everything, and it gets exhausted. So, like you said, and the symptoms can manifest in very different ways. So, but when you sort of step back at the bigger picture, you can see, and then looking at these other external factors, what can potentially be contribute, and then where can you make changes, where you can't, and just working a way around that makes sense for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to thank you so much for coming today to have a chat um, on this intro to the summit, and to have people start to really be aware, women start to be aware of what's happening. And also, if you're an employer or a leader in a team group, and you start to see someone sort of disconnecting and just having that whole frustration about them being exhausted, to start that conversation with love and compassion, to that person, and to hold that space for that person, and to encourage that person to take this, to look at the bigger picture, take different steps, because burnout can can affect a lot of people, and it affects productivity, it affects having this beautiful soul who can contribute to your team, to the world, just suffer in silence, and you might even lose their beautiful contribution to the world. So that's kind of my theme for bringing the summit together. So here is Vanita's um, website to her business, and go say hi, have a visit, have a browse around. And I thank you so much, Vanita, for joining us today. So much love for you and your work and your vision for yourself and for everybody around us. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much for the opportunity. I really appreciate the opportunity to connect.
Okay, thank you. We'll see you guys in the summit. Bye.